Hey, what's up guys? Miguel here from Toy Quest 101, and on this episode we're going to roll out in style because we're going to get an exclusive tour and review of the first and only Optimus Prime from the Transformers Age of Extinction right here on Toy Quest 101. Let's roll out. Alright guys, we're here with the owner, Joe Fiducia here of the Optimus Prime replica. Now I'm excited about this story, I'm excited about this build, but before we get into this exclusive tour and a little bit about the truck's mission, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with this build?
Well, you could say I'm a little bit of a fan of Transformers, maybe just a tad, but I'm just an ordinary dad who wanted to do something I guess you could say is kind of crazy. Loved Transformers growing up as a kid. I wouldn't say that I was your avid collector. I don't have a big toy collection at home. I don't have all these murals of Transformers anywhere, but I love Optimus Prime. I love what he stands for, his morals, his ethics, everything about him I try to epitomize in my own ways. So the whole idea behind the build was to motivate my son and inspire him. When I first saw this truck in the Transformers, I had watched all the movies, and when this one popped up after he changed from that old cab over to this one, it was just like goosebumps moments for me. You know, it was just like, oh my gosh, how cool would that be if that was something that we could have and we can use. So I talked to my family a little bit about it and kind of explained the idea was to motivate my son, who was 8 at the time, to take that leap of faith in life, never be afraid to try something that seems impossible, never be afraid to stand up to the bullies in your life and just do what it is you dream of doing. So this was my dream, and I think I kind of made it through that dream thus far.
Oh, you definitely executed it very well. Now, I gotta ask, there's so many pop culture movie cars out there. You got the DeLorean from Back to the Future, you got the Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters, you got Knight Rider. Why Optimus Prime? But especially when you've never had any experience with rigs, you've never had a license to drive a rig, why Optimus Prime?
Because of what he represents. I feel like I connect with the character very well in sense of what he does in these movies. Now, I'm not out there, you know, fighting Decepticons per se, but what he stands for, what he represents, what he tries to do and instill in others is very similar to how I kind of live my life in a way. So I feel like everybody, when they get their vehicles, no matter what it is, they connect with that vehicle in some way. In my travels, I've met a lot of Back to the Future car owners. I met a lot of General Lee owners and Bumblebee Camaro owners, and all of those cars fit their personality in one way, shape, or form. For me, Optimus fits my personality, so it just makes sense to resonate with that character. Plus, he's just super cool. Like, how do you not want to follow Optimus Prime? Come on.
Man, he's so excited, and he's one of the first and only replicas of this truck, correct? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we actually I started by getting legal permission to build it. That was the first step that we took. I hired a legal team. They did their thing with Hasbro, and 4 days before Christmas in 2015, I got that letter of approval. Like, coolest, best Christmas gift I could have gotten. Big milestone step. And then we spec'd out the truck on paper with the dealership and got what I could from the dealership as far as certain aspects of the truck that I couldn't get elsewhere. The truck itself was actually brand new and built from the factory to become what it is. And during that factory build, you know, you mentioned that I had no experience with trucking. I was actually getting my CDL to drive this. And I was as green could be, Miguel. Like, I didn't know what a fifth wheel was. I didn't know anything about what the inside of a truck looked like. I had never stepped foot in a semi in my life. But then you go back to what I'm trying to do for my son here. One of the things was, hey, you know what? No matter how far-fetched it may be, even if you have zero experience, don't be afraid to try. So I actually got my CDL on the first try. First day I took the test. I got both the written test passed and all the road test passed in the first try. Super proud moment, and then In April of 2016, we picked up the base model Western Star, which we then converted afterwards.
Dude, awesome story. Starting from scratch, one of the first and only Optimus Primes. Now, I know I mentioned other pop culture vehicles, but you don't see Optimus Prime. And not only does Optimus Prime is here in person with us, but I love the story behind the mission behind the truck. So tell me about your mission against bullies with Optimus Prime.
So what we do a lot is in 2019, I started doing these bully awareness presentations as a result of lifelong experience dealing with bullies, but also like when it comes to this fandom, and you can probably understand, in any fandom, you're always going to have people that love it and people that hate it. In this particular fandom, people either love or hate this truck, and both of them, no matter what side they're on, have no problem telling me what their opinions are. Now, I can respect anyone's opinion, and you know, I can deal with it, but in a sense, there was a lot of bullying going on because of what we built here, and just people just didn't like it. Combining that with my son and what he was dealing with in school, with my own experience with bullies, I just said, you know what, I come from a background of public speaking, I have experience speaking in front of people, let's combine that with my experience with bullying and alongside an iconic character that we all know and love and naturally want to follow, and let's put something together. So we do these presentations at schools now, which are elementary mostly, grades 1 through 6 mostly, and it's really cool. Like what we do is very well organized, well set up, very professional. But as far as the kids go, they're all brought outside for an assembly. They're not told what it is, they have no idea, and usually I'll coordinate with police or fire or some sort of lights and sirens type of entrance provided. So the kids love seeing them, they love hearing them, and then they see Optimus turn the corner and they just lose their minds. They're not expecting to see Prime roll up to their school. And it's a great attention getter. So then I'll speak to the kids for about 30-35 minutes or so about bullying, sharing my experience with bullies, how it led to us building Optimus Prime. Optimus even talks. So Optimus will talk to the kids and do some demonstrations for the kids. Usually at the end, if the kids agree to join Team Prime in this mission against bullies to rise up in their own way, then Bumblebee will roll in at the end. They lose their minds again. They all get these pledge cards that they can sign, which is really cool. So they get photos at the end of the presentation alongside the Transformers. Like, Miguel, I tell people all the time, the kids will never forget the day the Transformers came to their school. They'll never forget it. So the message that's connected with that about rising up and taking a stand in your own way and doing whatever you need to do to rise above anyone who tries to bring you down is a message that will resonate with more than your typical few because it's alongside their favorite hero.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I got goosebumps as you rolled up into this parking lot for this interview. I can't imagine how the kids feel when they see this, but really it's close to my heart, the message that you're bringing with such an iconic character. But speaking of that, why don't we just take a little bit of a tour on the truck to see the little Easter eggs that he has all over the truck. Let's get to it.
When you look beyond the painted part and all the modifications on the bigger scale, there's a lot of details on Optimus that are very specific to me and very poignant to me that weren't necessarily in the movie trucks. So one of them is this panel right here on the driver's side, which is a tribute to America's military. This was not on the screen used truck, but one of the things that I really appreciate is the military and what they stand for and what they represent. And at the end of the day, you know, their sacrifices are why we are here and able to do this in the first place. So I figured, let's do a tribute specific to the Transformers, because you always saw Optimus and the Transformers connecting and working with the military in some way. And that's one of the things that I felt was very, very personal and something that really resonates with a lot of people who served in the military. So they always appreciate seeing that, and I always appreciate sharing it with them. There's a lot of hidden messages on the truck as well. So on the headlights, for instance, you have this language here, which is the Cybertronian language, but all of the letters on the truck mean something. All the lettering and phrases form some kind of meaningful statement. So when you look at the one on the driver's side here, it says "Dream Big," which was a message to my son. And then on the passenger side headlight, it says "Team Prime," which is what we call ourselves. A lot of times I'll give kids like cheat sheets that break down all the different individual letters, and I'll ask them to translate what these messages say. So they have a lot of fun doing that. Then on the passenger side here, bumper, you'll see another mural. Now, fascinating story about him. So his name is Kyle Camo. Kyle is actually the guy that designed all the flames you see. He came up with this creation for Age of Extinction. This is his artwork. Now, he didn't paint this truck, but he ended up creating what you see here. Somebody else painted this design. What's poignant about him is Kyle was the one that was actually supposed to paint the screen-used movie trucks. There were 2 trucks that were used on Age of Extinction. Right before he got that opportunity, he ended up having a freak accident and didn't survive it. So he was 24 years old, and I did not know who he was at the time. But after I built Optimus, one of my fans put me in touch with his parents, who then I offered to them if they wanted to do a tribute for their son, and that's what they ended up giving me. So people now know who Kyle was, and they can see the talent that he had when it comes to airbrush work. And the actual artwork itself on both of these murals was done by Mike Lavelle, who was Kyle's mentor. Here, of course, we have some little details like Team Prime. Again, not something on the screen used truck. Same thing here. The JAR stands for the initials of our family. My name is Joe, my wife's name is Anya, my son's name is Ryan. So you have Joe, Anya, and Ryan's Optimus Prime. Down here at the bottom where it says "till all are one," that's one of the statements that was going back to like the G1 days, back in the Transformers when they first came out in the cartoon. And on the other side, yeah, it says "honor till the end." So if you're a real Transformers fan, in the 4th movie, right after Optimus killed Lockdown, he stands up and says to Cade Yeager, "honor till the end." So this is a specific tribute to Age of Extinction towards the end of that movie. A lot of people are very fascinated with the stacks. They're very curious about, mainly, are they functional? And I always leave that question to guests, but I'll answer it here in this video. So if you're curious about the stacks and what they do, I tell people that they're basically rocket thrusters for space travel, only used for that. But at the end of the day, they're all dummy pipes. None of them are actually functional. And there's reasons to that, because sometimes you'll get these guys, especially who drive trucks, you'll get these guys who want to see these stacks just billowing smoke, right? They want to hear what it sounds like. They want to know how it was connected. And then when they hear Optimus start up and it kind of sounds like a lawnmower, they're like, you can see that look of disappointment a little bit, right, in their eyes. They have their cameras all pointed at the stacks, waiting for something to happen, and nothing happens. But I explained to them, these stacks were actually built by a team of about 10 people, including myself, and almost about 400 man hours. And that's not something I'm going to do again. So my theory is having no heat going through them means that it'll last a lot longer. They won't start fading or discoloring on me. Plus, they won't be a burn hazard for kids, anyone who gets too close to those pipes. And I do some cool things with Optimus. I make him talk, and he blows CO2 smoke. So there's actually CO2 nozzles in each of those stacks, which shoot smoke when I bring Optimus to life through voiceover. On the back of the truck are a lot of messages to my son. So when you look at all the Cybertronian lettering, initially people will see the red lettering here. And again, that's one of the things where I often will give kids cheat sheets and have them figure out what it says. When people decipher this message, it says, "This is all for you, Ryan." That's my son's name. Then you'll see lettering on the license plate here. On the left it says courage, on the right it says bravery, 2 things I'd want him to have. When you look a little closer, you'll see lettering on the frame rails here on both sides. When you decipher that lettering here, it says "never be afraid to try," which was another message to my son. Then if you look even closer, you'll see lettering on the sword here. When you decipher those letters, it says "leave behind a legacy worthy of a prime." So again, another message to my son. And if you look really close at the really fine detail, you'll see right inside Optimus's chest, there's a letter here, then there's another one in the center, and another one over here. And that says AOE for Age of Extinction, which is when actually this movie was produced. On the passenger side fender is a tribute for my mom. Now, my mom passed away a couple years ago, very unexpectedly. She was in perfect health, and we came into the house one day, and there she was. So it's been very hard for us. And my mom was a big supporter of what I did, and a big reason why Optimus was able to be completed in the first place. So we really do miss her a lot. And what I decided to do shortly after her passing was murals on both of the fenders on the back of Optimus. So this mural here, when most people look at it, they're only going to see Optimus. They don't realize what's in here, but there's a lot of detail inside the mural that's specific to my mom. So for instance, when you look right in the center, you'll see a picture from my mom in the knee of Optimus. She loved Phantom of the Opera, which is right here in the back. She also loved Andrea Bocelli, so there's a script from Andrea Bocelli music right here in the middle. You have a picture of our family with her down here on the bottom right. She was a big ballroom dancer as well. That's her zodiac sign. She was a Cancer. Down here on the bottom left, you have my baby footprints there. She was also a motorcycle rider, so you can barely see a motorcycle ghosted in right behind Optimus here. There's also on the top of Optimus is a Cub Scout logo, because she was a Cub Scout den mother for many years. You have a picture of the truck here in the star, kind of converting into Optimus Prime, Optimus kneeling in Thanks for everything that Nana has done for us. We used to call her Nana. And even the lettering here on the sword, when you decipher it, it says, always be true to yourself, which is something she would always tell me. So that's a specific tribute to her. On the other side is another tribute for her as well. The driver's side, these were all custom done for us by some very talented artists. On the driver's side here, she was a motorcycle rider, which is really cool. I have a little 5'0" woman who turned 50 and met a guy who was into motorcycles. She never touched a bike in her life. And here she is riding a Harley Davidson 1450 Softail Custom. So that was actually her bike. We just painted it in the Optimus colors. That's the dress we buried her in. Her license plate says Harley Chick, which was the plate on her car. Up here in the moon, you have a picture of my mom, surrounded by 4 zodiac signs of our family. Then you have 3 shadow figures here waving goodbye to her. That's us waving goodbye. She loved Wizard of Oz, and Orion's belt was something significant to the second movie of Transformers. They used Orion's belt to find the matrix of leadership. Oftentimes what I get a chance to do is visit kids who could really use a boost. Sometimes it's a bullied child, sometimes it's a child that's maybe part of Make-A-Wish or similar foundations. So this would be an example of a child. His name was Ernesto. Ernesto was a Make-A-Wish boy who wanted to see the Transformers in Universal Studios, but he wasn't really well enough to get down there. So we went to the hospital he was at in Philadelphia, and his doctors put his equipment up into the truck with a nurse. We had his mom and him sitting in the passenger seat of Optimus. We also had Bumblebee with us. We had a police escort with us. And we drove Ernesto in Optimus Prime on the streets of Philly. Just made him feel like a king for an hour. So his mom gave them permission to put that tribute there for him shortly after his passing. There was another tribute here behind the rear fender. His name was Dakota. So Dakota was being transported from Hershey Hospital back home. He had a very aggressive form of brain cancer. There was nothing that the hospital could do for him, so his family decided to bring him back home. So they were transporting him in an ambulance. So what we decided to do was follow him in Optimus. I was directly behind him the entire drive. It was about a 35-minute drive. We had well over a dozen motorcycles. We had police, fire, EMS, tow. We had all these different emergency agencies join us. A lot of people with custom cars joined us, and it became kind of a parade through town. Where when we came through town, there were people on both sides of the street, hundreds of people holding up signs. Stay strong, Dakota, keep fighting, don't give up, you've got this. Just all these motivating things. It was an experience that was so heartwarming that it was meant to instill bravery and courage and strength and fight in Dakota to not let go and to keep it going. And it became one of the most poignant experiences that I've ever had with Optimus in our travels. So I had promised Dakota years ago when I had done this with him to drive him to school in Optimus, but I never got that opportunity. This particular year, I actually went to a car show in his honor, and his father let me drive Dakota. Dakota was cremated, and the urn, his father placed the urn in Optimus and let me drive Dakota to the car show. So it was a very emotional experience, but it allowed me to kind of fulfill the promise that I had made to him all those years ago. One more memorial that I have on the truck right now is for Levi. So Levi was a huge Transformers fan. He lived in Southern Virginia, and his family had actually hired me to come down and visit him because he also had a very aggressive form of cancer and did not have much time left. So I actually made the trip all the way down to Virginia to go meet him and spend some one-on-one time with him. What ended up happening 3/4 of the way down, Miguel, he ended up passing away. And it put me in a really, really tough spot because, I certainly wanted to respect the family's privacy and give them their moment to mourn. But at the same time, I was like, oh, I'm almost there. Is there anything I can do? So they agreed to have me come. And the following day, I met with them. It was a very emotional experience. It was about 20 people. I got out, I started to talk about why I was there, and I broke down. I couldn't even get words out. I've never had that happen before. And I eventually told them, I said, listen, I want to do with you what I planned on doing with Levi. So we played some games with the family. Many of them got driver's seat pictures. We took them out for ice cream. We introduced them to Bumblebee and Ironhide, and we rolled into a huge car show in their honor with Optimus and the team. So we really gave them a very heartwarming experience at a time they really needed it. So I'd like to think, going and looking back on this tragedy of a loss, that they also combine it with the joy that they felt on that day when we were celebrating what we would have done with Levi.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done now. I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done now.
All right, guys, we just got done doing this epic tour of the Optimus Prime truck, man. I got goosebumps all over. But Joe, tell us where they could find you.
So you can find us anywhere online. You can go to Google website, just type in the words optimusishere.com. We have all those social media channels. We have a very big following online. But anyone who's interested in booking a presentation at their school or an event of some kind, or even like VIP things for like Make-A-Wish kids, children's hospitals, I'm open to visiting all of them anywhere in the USA or Canada. So I would say message me anytime through those website channels, and I'll be happy to have a conversation with anyone who wants to see some epic primeness.
That's freaking awesome. Guys, we're gonna have all the links in the bio of the video where you can find Joe and Optimus Prime, and we'll see you guys on another episode of Toy Quest 101. Thank you so much,
Miguel,
Joe.
it's been an honor, man.
Appreciate
really,
it, man.
I appreciate everything you're doing as well.
Hope to
Keep it
see
up.
you down the street riding Optimus Prime. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye, guys.
Roll out.